And we are live. Guys, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Let's Talk Fishing video podcast. My name is James. I'm going to be your host. The Let's Talk Fishing video podcast is brought to you by Crusher Lures, Grant Rods, and the American Bass Club. Tonight, I have a guy I've been trying to get on for quite some time. We just hadn't ever had. He fishes a lot of tournaments. He's a hard one to pin down, but I have none other than Patrick Carter, and he's affectionately known as Coach. So how you doing tonight, Coach?
I'm doing great, Jay. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Let me tell you, man, it's an honor to have you on the show.
Well, I really appreciate it.
I've heard so much about you through our common friend we have in common named Rob. Rob, also known as Cajun.
Cajun Rob, my brother.
Cajun Rob. A good man right there. Good man. He'll be here in a little while. I'm sure of it. But anyways, Coach, so you were busy this year, weren't you?
Yeah, I think it was 22 weekends.
22. So you fished 22 tournaments this year.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was crazy.
Wow.
I do two divisions in the BFL. I do mountain and volunteer.
Okay.
And then, anytime I get the chance to do a big bass, I love those formats. I'll jump into those. And then I did a few locals around here locally and got invited to a couple. The Toyota Series last October. Of course, did the wild card the last couple of years. So those are always long distance travel. So, yeah, I stay on the road quite a bit.
So, Coach, is it vectorhooks.com?
It is.
Is that their website? Okay. Okay, we're going to put that up there. Yeah, that looks nice. Okay, vectorhooks.com. So, which one did you fish with Rob this last year?
A whole bunch of them. Yeah. So Rob and I have become travel partners, and we tend to bunk up together, share a lot of travel expenses that way. So we try to kind of fish the same series. So all of the volunteer and the mountain tournaments we did together.
Wow. Cajun Rob says, "Good evening, my friends." And also he said, "Coach is a hammer at the wild cards."
Well, I still haven't made the All-American though. So that's the hump I got to get over.
Well, for everyone who makes the All-American, how many of them are there? How many of them don't?
Yeah, only 6 spots. So, 150 to 200 anglers fighting for 6.
So, just like when someone says, I want to win one. Well, for everyone who wins one, how many don't? Every other, if it's one of the Toyota series, sometimes it's 320, isn't it?
Yeah, they love to stack the field, don't they?
Yeah, well, but you stack the field, the tournament stays strong, and the purses get bigger.
Well, we're going to test that this year because I'm going to attempt to get in some Toyota events.
Well, that's great. Why don't you tell us a story about something you caught on a memorable catch on something like this?
Yeah. So last year I went to the wild card on Loudon Tellico.
Okay.
And, typical. It was not ideal conditions. Everybody was fighting it. They had let a lot of water out the dam, and just fishing was tough. The bites were hard to come by. I blanked the first day. Lost a couple real smalls that I got to the boat. Lost the one good keeper that I had that day. So I walked into day 2 with nothing. We were in a little cove, and I noticed a shade line where the sun was coming over the trees and dropping into the water about 30 feet out away from the shore. And I told my boater, I kind of called this shot. I told my boater, I was like, now, if you believe everything you read about fishing, this is an ideal situation to throw a whopper plopper. And I looked down and I had a little 90 bone color whopper plopper tied on. And I saw a log about 10 feet off the bank, and I threw right to it. On about the second crank, I felt a tug, and I'm starting to reel it in, and I'm like, man, just be a keeper, I just want to get something in the live well and get something started, And I probably had it maybe 5 or 10 feet from the boat, and it just loaded up. It just felt really odd, and I was like, man, what just happened? And my boater's got the net for me, and I was like, did he just go around something? Did he catch me on something? He's like, I tried pulling him back up. He's like, I'm not sure. And I tried bringing him back to the top of the water. He's like, oh, dude, you've got 2 on. He's like, you got 2. And I was like, well, make sure you got that net because I don't know if I can hold them. He got the net underneath them, and as soon as he did, the big one came off in the net. But, we got him in the boat. We got both of them in the boat, and they were both keepers.
Both of them in the boat, okay.
Yeah, if he hadn't helped me, I would have never got them. So I'm back there, I'm tagging them and getting them in the live well, and I told him, I was like, man, if you've got a top water, I hit them right off of that log right over there. Like, throw back in, there might be more. So while I'm putting the cold tags on him and throwing them in the live well, he cast to the same spot and caught another keeper in the same spot. But I think that was my first double up of my life, and I think my boater was actually more excited about it than I was because that was the first one he had ever seen. But yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Wow. That is cool. I have never done that.
Yeah, it doesn't happen every day.
The craziest thing ever happened with me is I was fishing a tournament and I hooked into a bass. Then another guy hooked into the same bass. How the hell did that happen? I don't know. We were fishing too close together, and we were just a bunch of people loaded up in this one bay on Lake Winnebago, and
one of those community holes.
Yeah. And I was getting ready to leave. That was the second to last tournament I ever fished because I was getting ready to leave to go to just get the heck out of the lower 48 and move to Alaska. And that guy was all upset about it, and I just whatever. I dropped my big motor in the in the water and took off after that. I lost it, so enough of this. But anyway, yeah, that's a great story, Coach. Man,
that's a lot of fun.
I mean, 2 fish, 1 cat. On a whopper
plopper. I never dreamed it would have happened on a 90. I can see that happening on a larger whopper plopper.
Yeah, guys, this is a 90 right here. Look at that thing. It's not. Here's my hand. Right on it. Well, I'm sure most of the people who watch this show know what a whopper plopper 90 is. But
right.
Just for those of you who don't, I'm just going to give you something to compare it to. It's not really that big, but I'll tell you what, I've caught some big fish on. I'm sure you have too, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of my go-tos.
So you live in Georgia. It sounds like your favorite place to fish is Tennessee. I
love the Tennessee River chain. I love all the lakes in Tennessee except for Chickamauga. I gotta throw that disclaimer out there. I hate Chick. Chick hates me. I am still to catch a keeper bass on Chickamauga, if you can believe that. There are tons and tons of big fish in that lake, but somehow they've eluded me. I have not had any luck there. But I'm just not real fond of the Georgia lakes. They don't tend to be my style of fishing. Either Lanier, you got to fish so deep.
Yes.
And then you got Sinclair and Oconee, which are just really rocky along the edges, and you wind up tied up most of the day, and it gets frustrating to me.
Boy, I love fishing rocks. But the rocks I like to fish are on riprap shorelines, like on Gunthorsville.
Yeah.
I can fish some Gunthorsville. I've never been there, but that was my strength when I would guide, just get me on a riprap shoreline. I have about 8 different presentations I can use. And I love each and every one of them.
Yeah.
Boy, so you had some exciting news earlier. What was that, 2-3 weeks ago?
Well, I just signed with Nico Softbaits on Monday, actually.
Ooh.
Yeah, just signed with them. Um, their pro staff director contacted me and wanted to speak over the phone before they committed, and we had a nice long conversation. Jeff Davis, great guy, and I am very excited to work with Nico. I got real familiar with their products about a year and a half ago. Kept watching YouTube videos, trying to get better on Dale Hollow Lake. And one of the guys kept going out there and he's using these little Helgermites. And I've got one here, I'll show you. This is the Nico Helgermite, if you can see that okay. You got all those little legs on there.
Put it up really close.
There we go.
There you go. Yeah, now I can see it. Yeah, look
right
at that.
There.
You know, that thing would work. That thing would work down where I'm going to fish tomorrow for speckled trout and red, because it looks a lot like a shrimp. Does that have a hook already in it?
Well, I rigged this one. It's got a little,
just
a simple little Ned head with a weedless guard on it.
Show us that. See, guys, it's almost like the Z-Man stuff where
they make some, but you can, their products are really durable. You can stretch that to reactivate the smell, the flavor.
I mean, think about that, guys. You know, if a smallmouth bass comes up there,
smallmouth absolutely love these things.
If a smallmouth comes up there and nips the back of that thing and takes off, it's just going to stretch. It's not going to tear it off the hook like you know a lot of others soft plastic companies lures. You know, a lot of other soft plastic will just be torn off the hook. I've had
very durable.
All of us have. I'm sure, Coach, you've had soft plastic torn right off the hook, haven't you?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you know that happens. Rob
I've got a couple other things that they love to tear the tails off of.
Oh yeah. Well, like ribbon tails.
Ribbon tails, the trench hogs, they love to tear the legs off trench hogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or brush hogs, yeah.
Yeah.
They tear the tentacles off. Actually, I think that might be bluegills that do that. He also says, Rob was saying that Helgermite, he likes to drop shot it.
Yeah, I use this in a lot of different ways. I like running it on the little Ned head. I will actually put a little swim jig on it sometimes. But it's a real versatile little bait. But you can put it on a drop shot and it'll sit out there horizontal like that. And it's a pretty good presentation. It just kind of pull that through the water real slow, and it gets their attention.
Geez, the hat's not on right. You know, in clear water around rocks, like in the Great Lakes, on some of those reefs, if you drop shotted something like that, and just sat there, you know, and did what I call the old drunk in the morning, man, that would be deadly. You'd never know what you're going to catch in the Great Lakes or something like that. Trout, perch, of course, smallmouth. Jeez. Whitefish. Man,
yep, and they've got a new color releasing this week. This one's coming out this week in a what they call a pepper gum. And it's basically a bubblegum pink with like a black and silver fleck in it. And that is going to be absolutely killer spring and fall of the year. But that just releases this week and should be available on the website soon. They also have a craw, and I'm out of them. I thought I had some here, but their craw is extremely versatile. I use it a lot on trailers. It's a little bit smaller profiles than some other companies. So I like it, you know, when the water starts getting colder, I downsize a little bit. And I love the craws. They also got leeches. They've got some really nice little Ned worms. I know Cajun Rob likes their little Neds. But I'm really excited to be hooked up with them and to be working with them now.
So what's going on at Vector?
Vector has got a ton of new product coming. A lot of stuff that I don't even know about yet. So keep an eye on vectorhooks.com. They've got a whirlwind of new product coming. But we've still got. I know you're familiar with these, the Mayhem flipping hooks. These are the absolute
Mayhem.
best flipping hooks in the market.
Jeremy Mayhem, yeah.
He did a good job on those. I absolutely love them. I know a lot of guys trust them.
So
And of
explain
course,
something to me, Coach. He made that as a straight hook.
yeah.
Why did he choose a straight hook over an offset?
You'd have to really talk to him. I'm not exactly sure why he went with straight, but a lot of guys, and this is something that he stresses a lot too. You've got that little keeper there. If you can
Yeah, I
see
know.
that.
I've heard him talk about that, about the fact that it's straight, but he never really explained why.
He's very intent about making sure that your bait goes all the way past that.
Past the keeper, yes.
Not just embedded in it, but actually go all the way past that so that you've got it on the outside of the bait and that keeper really grabs a hold. So I don't know if that is why he went with the straight design, but he would give you the answer on that. But those are the ticket when you're flipping in heavy cover. And of course, Brad Watley's got an even heavier one coming that I haven't even seen yet. But
I fished with James Simmons down, another vector boy, down in Houma, Louisiana, and we were punching through the hyacinths with the Mayhem flipping hooks. And man, I was able to hold on to those fish and pull them up through some amazingly thick cover.
Right.
I'm sure you've done well. If you fished some, probably in Florida, you probably punched.
Yeah, and then the last time I was in Alabama, we did a whole lot.
A whole lot of punching.
The grass was so thick. I mean, you couldn't swim anything through it. It was so thick. So we didn't have any choice but to punch that day.
So when you punched through it, it actually got down to the bottom where the fish were at?
If you were using heavy enough weight, you could. You got to upsize your weight to about 1.5 ounces to 2 ounces.
And you were using something like this?
That's, very, very similar to that. When I'm punching, I really tend to go with the old Bandito bug.
And who makes that?
That one's a Guggen.
Guggen, okay.
Yeah, which I'm not sponsored by. Like Gerald Swindle says, I pay $8.99 a bag for them, just like you do.
James Simmons likes these kind of stuff. It doesn't have any of those extra legs, because he said the extra legs sometimes get.
Sometimes it can keep you from getting. It'll get hung up in the grass. Yeah,
it tends to collect stuff. But a lot of times, what we're punching through down here, where I live, in southern Louisiana, is just the water hyacinths, or you call them water lilies. A lot of people call them a lot of different things.
Right.
But those things tend to just collect on the windy side of the lake, which is where I like to fish anyways, is on the windy side of the lake. So yeah, that's where I've done most of my punching, is in southern Louisiana. What was that, on Gunther'sville you were doing that?
No, that was on Eufaula the last time I was there.
Okay.
Back in September.
So did you fish any big bass events this year?
I did not this year. I did the one last year on Cumberland. And then, actually, I did do one this year. It was early in the year. Back in January, Robert Gibson and I went down to the Kissimmee Harris chain and fished that big bass event down there.
Why don't you tell our listeners who don't know what the format is for one of those tournaments?
So a big bass event, some of them are 2 to a boat, some can be 3 to a boat. They're not real strict on that. You can fish from the bank, you can fish from a boat, you can fish from a canoe. They're pretty lenient on all of that. But they have a weigh-in every hour. You can weigh in one fish an hour, and they'll pay like top 10, and then they'll pay like top 10 for the day, top 10 for the tournament. So you got several chances to get on there and get a little check, but you can only have like 3 fish in the boat at a time. So it's a really strategic game. You kind of watch what's weighed in. Like if you've got one of those middle ground fish, say the 3 and 4 pound fish, you might kind of keep an eye on what's already weighed in. If there's some 6 and 7 pound fish already on the board, you may hold it for the next hour to weigh in. But typically, if you're smart about your weigh in, 3.5, 4 pound fish will get you a check. I know Rob actually fished a big bass event just here recently and was able to get a check with about a 3.5 pounder.
Okay, Rob has an answer to my question about the straight hook versus an offset hook. He says that a straight hook has more hook setting power, and you can easily tie a snell knot to it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Jeremy's big on those snell knots.
He is.
So thank you, Cajun Rob. Okay, so didn't Cajun Rob bring home a check at a big bass recently?
Yeah, just recently. I think he actually, and that was at Gunnersville, as a matter of fact.
Were you at that one too, Coach?
No, I didn't fish that one.
Okay.
The work that I do on the base, we're getting into our busy season, so I kind of slow down this time of the year. In fact, I had to speak really good to my boss to be able to get the days off that I need next week to go to the wild card.
Okay, well, I'm glad you did that because, yeah, I'm starting to slow down at work a little bit. Cajun Rob said he got 8th place.
Yeah, good deal.
I'm starting to slow down, so I'm going to be fishing this weekend. Actually, I haven't bass fished since spring. That's pathetic. Jeez.
Yeah, this is the time of year when I start splitting my time from being on the lake and being in the woods. I like to deer hunt, but I set cameras back in the summer and was watching it, had a lot of activity, but I've got a big bear in my area now, and as soon as he showed up, my deer left. So it kind of ruined my hunt this year.
Oh, too bad you aren't in Alaska because you can hunt black bear 12 months out of the year up in Alaska.
Yeah.
I lived up
I don't
there.
know if I want to tangle with the one I've got on camera. He's a big boy.
Yeah. Well, they got some true big boys. I came face to face with a big old brown bear in Alaska one time, trying to get back to a fishing spot. Fishing always gets me in trouble.
Yeah.
If it's not with the women, it's with the bears,
There you go.
Oh, good Lord, I've had some stories. All right. Man, that got me distracted. So why don't you tell me what your plans are for next year, Coach?
So next year, I am going to go ahead and do the 2 BFL tours that I've done the last 3 years. I'm going to go mountain and volunteer and doing the full schedule. And I will be doing
those pro-ams. Are they team tournaments or?
No, those are the BFLs, just boater co-anglers.
Okay.
And I'll also be doing the Toyota Central Division for the first time. And my intention is to do as many big bass format as I can, and also probably do some bass opens for the first time.
Ooh, nice. Where are you going to fish the bass opens?
I'm definitely going to be in the one at Eufaula.
Okay.
And I know, depending on how I feel after Wheeler next week, there's also one on Wheeler. So we'll see how that goes. I may have to get into that one as well.
Nice. That sounds fun. Man, you're going to be on the water a lot next year too.
So my preliminary schedule for next year says 25 weekends.
Jeez. Well, man, just like I tell people at the end of every one of these podcasts, you only get to do this once.
Right.
Yeah,
and I got a late start, so I need the time on the water.
Yeah. Oh, good Lord. Sorry, but the porn sites got in again. I hate it when they do this. Sitting there looking at what Cajun Rob is saying, and all of a sudden it says, "Come see the live nude co-eds." Hey!
Now that's distracting.
Well, if I was 25 years younger, I probably would. Yeah. Nowadays, I look at that and say, you know what? My daughter is older than them. That's just no. Oh man. So, Coach, you're an Air Force veteran, aren't you?
That is correct. Yeah, I did 20 years as an aircraft electrician.
Wow. I did 4 in the Air Force, but I was one and done.
Yeah.
A 4-year wonder. They had all kinds of good names for people like me, but it served its purpose. I got to go to college after that, and I got to live right on the shores of Lake St. Clair. Then they moved me 180 miles north up to above Saginaw Bay. I mean, smallmouth, having that whole side of Michigan just full of smallmouth and steelhead and whitetails.
Oh yeah.
I call it the land of walleyes and whitetails, man. What a great place to live. I was 20, geez, I was like 20 years old and 24 when I got out, and what a great time to be in a place like that. I had endless energy, fished every single day, even in the wintertime. How much fun is that? And Warner Robins, geez, right there in Georgia. Another place. You don't have walleyes, but you have, bass and whitetails. What a great place to be. And you must not be that far away from Tennessee, huh?
It's about 3.5 hours to get to the south border of Tennessee. So most of the tournaments I do, it's about a 5-hour drive.
Okay. That's doable.
Yeah. We make it work.
That's doable. That is doable. So next year you're gonna even hit it harder, man. That sounds fun.
Yeah, I told him, I was like, I got such a late start, I got to jump in with both feet and just keep kicking because I'm enjoying it. I love the competition. That's a side, once I got old and out of shape, and all the sporting stuff that I used to do is gone. So I have to get that competitive edge somewhere.
I love it, Coach. I love it because the only sport I ever did in high school was wrestling. And man, getting my head slammed into the mat like that today would probably kill me.
Yeah.
And also, geez, I've gained 200 pounds since the last time I wrestled.
Yeah, you're talking about my military time. The people who knew me back then, I tell them, I was like, I'm twice the man today that I was when I went into the military. And they were like, oh, yeah, you really think the military changed you that much? And I was like, yeah, I weighed 124 pounds.
That's how much I weighed when I graduated from high school. Yes. And you're right. I'm more than twice the man. I love it, Coach. That is hilarious. That is hilarious. So, hey, been great to have you on here tonight. Is there any shout outs you'd like to do?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I've got a handful here. I've got a lot of partnerships that I really appreciate. These guys took a chance on me. I was an unknown commodity, So Vector Hooks, JB Wiggins, Dixie Custom Rods, Mr. Dwayne Wilson, Razor Custom Tackle, Mr. Ray Larson, the Nico Soft Baits, Mr. Jeff Davis, MGM Cool Tags, John Stottinger, Unky Jigs, Eric Demjanovich. Those guys are just outstanding fellow anglers, that are running these companies and just doing a lot. And I'm there for them. I want to push their products because I really believe in them. As we talked yesterday, I don't try to push anything that I don't believe in. If I'm not fully behind it, I don't want my name attached to it. And these guys have got great stuff and doing great things for the industry.
MGM Cull Tags. Why don't you take a minute here or two and explain what MGM Cull Tags are and how someone can get a hold of these if they needed them?
So MGM Cull Tags, they are punctureless. They've got a rubber grommet that's spring-loaded clip. They're plastic. The ends float, but they won't harm the fish. They're very strong. I've had some really angry smallmouth that tried to shake them and could not. And like I say, they're a good quality product. He's got a good price on them, and he's a fellow fisherman like us, so that's the kind of guy I want to support. So
guys, I believe in
those either off the Facebook group or his website. So
MGM Cull Tags on Facebook. The guy's name
sir.
is John Stoutinger. John Stoutinger, solid, super guy, man. I know him personally. Just telling that Jay Angel and Coach Carter sent you.
There you go.
Go on and check that out. You know, they're made so that you can pull those fish out of the live well. I have actually had mishaps over the years. I was fishing tournaments on both walleyes and bass where I'm taking a fish out of the live well, and it does a flip, and it flips right back in the water. And you know, but if I had an MGM call tag on there, I would have a death grip on that thing, and the fish would not have gotten away.
Yep.
They're a lot easier to grab. I don't know if you've ever tried to grab a 2 pound large or smallmouth out of the live well.
Yeah, they can be rather angry and elusive.
Easier said than done. And, you know, and if you're a walleye fisherman, guys, I mean, you walleye fishermen know that's no fun because they have razors on their. They don't have gill plates. They have razors. And they have teeth, and you know, it's a good idea. It's a good idea, and I really wanted to give John Stoutinger some love here because, you know, I think he has a heck of a good product there.
Absolutely.
And you know, Coach, it's been an honor having you on my podcast.
Well, the honor's all mine, Jay. I love your show, and I learn a lot from the different tips that the guys bring, and I always enjoy the stories. You know, we said that the fishing industry, as big as it is, it's still a really small circle, and
Yes.
I'm just happy to be a piece of it now.
Well, you definitely are a piece of it there, Coach. I've been wanting to have you on for quite a while, and when you announced that you were on with Nico, that impressed me. They're not an easy company to get onto. They make fantastic products, and you know.
Yeah,
so,
I think their presence here in North America is really going to grow in the next few years.
That's a good point. It's a Japanese company.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
And one of my very good friends, David Swinside, David's one of the men that I have to say, I have utmost respect for him as an angler, as a person, as an ambassador of this bass fishing, which is just a sport I love so much. Bass fishing for me is actually a way of life. It's a lifestyle. It's not
Absolutely
more than a sport. Well, fishing in general, because, you know, I'm going fishing for redfish tomorrow, and, you know, I won't sleep this weekend. Even as old and as big and as infirm as I am, you know, my brain still thinks I'm 18.
There you go.
My brain still thinks I'm 18. But man, you know, guys, I do this podcast because I'm passionate about fishing. I love the people who fish. I just have found so many cool people. That's one of the joys of doing a podcast. I get to meet some cool people. I get to fish with some cool stuff. I have some cool rods, and I can't say enough about it. I love the podcast. It's definitely a bright spot in my life. The last 2 years have been nothing but crap. But I always had the podcast. Coach, guys like you got me through this. So,
well, we're much happier to see you doing all your shows. You're healthy again and out doing what you love tomorrow. You know, best of luck on that. But
thank you. I'm actually doing a thing now where I'm showing people where they can catch fish from the shore in southern Louisiana. If they're there, I'll figure out how to catch them. I have confidence. And just like Brad and I on the Bass Magazine podcast always talk about is you're going to catch fish on what you have confidence in. Well, like the Helder, man, I can look at that thing and just look at that thing. It's going to catch fish. And there's about 8 different ways I could rig that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you. And I'm going to tell everybody, you know, thank you for tuning into the Bass and Geez, I screwed that up every single time, Coach. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning into the Let's Talk Fishing video podcast. Again, my name is Jay Angel with very special guest, Coach Carter, Bass Magazine. The Let's Talk Fishing podcast is brought to you by Crusher Lures, Grant Rods, and the American Bass Club. And guys, get out there and fish this weekend because you only get to do this once. And stick around, Coach.
Absolutely. We'll see you, Jay. Thanks.